Howdy, welcome to the channel. In today's video is going to be a little bit different. I'm not actually going to be reviewing specific Ryobi tool, but I'm going to be talking about why I moved into the Ryobi ecosystem over others. So my background is I used to be within the construction industry, and I did all sorts of stuff, including being a day laborer all the way up to running crews. And I had Team Yellow stuff. I bought a whole lot of DeWalt tools back in the day. This is back whenever NiCad was the only system that you could have for battery type. And I had a whole lot of them. And slowly through time, the NiCads ended up dying. Well, it was at that time period that I looked and was trying to buy new NiCad batteries, but they were unbelievably expensive because the new lithium system was coming out from DeWalt. And they wanted everybody to move to that. And the old NiCad batteries had actually a very similar design to the Ryobi. And the newer system were not compatible. So you could not take a lithium battery and put it on an old NiCad tool, and you could not take a NiCad battery and put it on the new lithium tool. So that was a big problem for me. But since I had already purchased a whole lot of pro-grade DeWalt tools, and I loved Team Yellow back in the day. I was all about them. I wanted their toolboxes. I wore their shirts. I love Team Yellow stuff. I always rooted for the NASCAR. Woo! DeWalt. And as time went on, I went to town and I had to buy replacements because all my batteries were dead. So that meant I had to purchase all new pro-grade tools. These were not home-use tools. These were on the job site. So I went and I bought, not from the big box stores, but I went to DeWalt and I actually bought from them the pro-grade tools. And I ended up buying individual items. I bought the drill, I bought the impact, I bought the circular saw, and I bought the reciprocating saw or saber saw or sawzall, depending on what you want to call it. And I used the circular saw and the impact and the drill every single day, but I actually didn't use the sawzall very often at all. Well, time went on and I ended up moving out of that profession and I ended up going into another field. And I kept my tools, and I literally pulled out my sawzall for the first time one day when I was repairing a pipe coming into the house. It was a PVC pipe. Turned off the water supply and went out there, and I was trying to cut the piece of PVC. Now, this sawzall had never been used. It had always been kept safely within its packaging because I didn't want this tool to be mistreated. I treated all of my tools very kindly and was very specific because of how much they cost. The Ryobis are so cheap, if they get dirty, they get dirty. But with the DeWalts, whenever you're going to spend $800 on a freaking reciprocating saw, the last thing you want to do is have it destroyed by some mindless act on the job site. So I pull it out, brand spanking new, slap the battery in it, go over, and I start cutting the piece of PVC. Halfway through the cut, literally the DeWalt breaks in half. It does not break where there's a joint to where you can put it back together. Literally the plastic body of it just completely breaks in half. Brand new saw. It's a few months since I had purchased it, past the time I could return it, and I was devastated. I was very upset with it. And I had to go to town and I had to buy a replacement. So whenever I went up to town, I, at that point, no longer had access to the DeWalt truck. So I simply went to Home Depot and I was like, you know what, forget it. For $129.99, I can buy a Ryobi kit that has a drill, an impact, this circular saw here, and this saber saw, this reciprocating saw. And I was like, screw it. For that kind of money, I'll use it, and if it breaks after my first use, it breaks after my first use. Whatever. I don't care. I'm so ticked right now. Bought it, get home. Didn't even bother charging them. Literally just threw a battery on, went out there, and started working on it. Thing cut through it like it was butter, like they should. Not a problem. I ended up putting on a massive patio using these same tools. I literally left the DeWalts in the package, and I just went with the Ryobi. I was like, yeah, let's give it a try. Blended with the house. I put on the hardy plank siding and everything, and used nothing but the Ryobi tools for that project. And I dropped them a couple of times. They fell off ladders. This was 10 foot tall from the concrete slab to the bottom of the roof trusses. Not all the way to the top. That's the bottom of it. And I was dropping the tool. And it survived. It did not have a problem. I was absolutely shocked whenever it went through that kind of punishment, and it still worked. That was pretty dang impressive. And in fact, I still have all of the tools from that kit. The only one I had problems with is not a problem from Ryobi. It's actually the drill. The problem was because of me. I used that to start a high compression mini bike engine. Didn't have the pull cord cover on it. So if that's off, you literally can put a big old giant socket on it, put it on high torque or high speed, and boom, and it hit in one of the compression cycles and reverse spun the engine, sheared the bolt right off of the chuck. Now, is shearing a bolt off the chuck a fault of Ryobi? No, that was my fault because I shouldn't have been using it for that. But I did. Replaced the bolt and it's still trucking along, not having a single problem with it. So that is why ultimately I got into the Ryobi ecosystem. And as I went through it and as I kept on trying to torture test these things and actually have a problem, I didn't have a whole lot of problems with them. I have a few that I'll be reviewing eventually that have had problems, but most of those problems are because of me, not because of the tool. The Ryobi, or the DeWalt problem, was because of the DeWalt issue. I don't know why the body broke open. I didn't care. I was so ticked, I just threw it away, and I'm like, forget it, and I sold the other DeWalt tools off because I wanted out of the ecosystem. So that's why I moved to this. And to this day, I have had tons of batteries, tons. I probably have close to 30 batteries at this point. And of those batteries, I only have had one that has fully failed on me. I have had a couple that required the special charger that I talked about last week, and that fixed the battery problem for me. So only one battery has actually completely died to where probably one of the cells inside of it is kaput, and I need to pull it apart and replace it. So I have a whole lot of Ryobi tools back here, and I know they make some people puke, and that's okay. Some people don't like the color, and that's okay. If it's not for you, it's not for you, but it is for me. And I'm okay with that. And I'm okay if you're team yellow. I'm okay if you're team red. Whatever works for you, use it. Now, I do have some DeWalt tools. I have some Milwaukee tools. I have some Makitas. I've got all sorts of different stuff. If I need to buy a specific tool for a project, then I have no problems buying that tool for the specific project. But if Ryobi has a tool that is good for the project, then I'm going to look there first, and I'm going to buy their tool first, because the fact that I can take this battery and I've been able to use it from all the way from the old blue days. For those of you who remember the Ryobi of old, back whenever they actually said Ryobi instead of Ryobi, you'll actually see that those old tools can still use this brand new lithium battery, and it doesn't have a problem. If you have some of those old NiCad batteries that are still good, kudos to you for keeping them running that long. You can actually take one of those and drop it into any one of these tools, and it still works. You can't say that with DeWalt. You can't say that with any other major manufacturer that I'm aware of. There may be something. And you know what? If you know of a tool company that you can still take their old NiCads and put it into the lithium tools and vice versa, leave it in the comments below, because I would actually love to hear of the other companies that have been smart like Ryobi and have kept with the same style with the battery type. So there you go. That's why I've stuck with Ryobi ever since I moved to it, well over a decade ago now, and they just keep on working for me. And I'm very happy with them. So if you have any questions while I am giving you all this background information about any of the tools that are behind me, be sure to leave them in the comments below for me. And if you do leave a comment, I'll be sure to post it like this, because I love reading the comments. They're actually very interesting. They have a lot of great information, and I enjoy talking with you all and having those conversations, even if, they make you puke, but that's okay. Thanks for watching.